Welcome back and thank you for joining us. It's time to review the front pages of our national dailies. We'll start with Daily Trust. Tinubu clears path for Governor Yusuf's defection. That's on page 3 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And on the top, we have Tinubu's GCON award to Associate Chagori draws flag. That's on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Schools, offices shut as FCTA workers begin strike. That's on page 14 of the Daily Trust newspaper if you want more on that story. And we have omission of Shetima's picture and poster causes uproar. That's on page 10 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Kaduna residents can confirm 160 kidnapped police government deny incident. That's on page 4 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Former Attorney General Malami rearrested after leaving Kuje prison. You can read the story on page 5 of the Daily Trust newspaper. And lastly, the Nigerian Air Force airstrikes kill bandits in Katsina, Kano access. That's on page 24 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Grab yourself a copy of the Daily Trust newspaper and stay informed.
All right, next up, we have the Punch newspaper right in front. Amnesty deal outrage mounts as Katsina moves to release 70 bandits. Tinubu told to stop release of bandits on trial. ACF, Afenifere, others slam Katsina government over amnesty deal. That's on page 2 of the Punch. At the top left, we have federal government votes 10 million naira for Abuja runway after scrapping 532 billion naira deal. That is on page 23 of the Punch. We have Kano governor meets Tinubu amid defection talks. That's on page 10. We have military discovers Boko Haram underground storage and fuel dump. That's on page 3. We have the job scam syndicate luring Nigerians into Ukraine and Russia war. That is on page 18 and 19 of the Punch newspaper. At the bottom, we have banks record rising loan defaults amid strong demand. That says CBN. That's on page 23 of the Punch. DSS arrests Malami after release from Kuje prison. That's on page 7. We have Ikiti Paul, PDP, SDP reject exclusion from INEC final list. That's on page 7 of the Punch newspaper. Make sure you grab yourself a copy and stay informed.
Let's take a look at the Guardian newspaper. 1 year after 50% telco tariff hike leaves operators happier, consumers frustrated. That's on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. And at the top, we have PDP decries insecurity as Kaduna denies abduction of 163 worshippers. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. Federal government contractors on warpath over 4 trillion naira debt. That's on page 3 of the Guardian newspaper. And FCTA kicks as workers begin indefinite strike. You can read the story on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. IMF aligns with World Bank on Nigeria's 4.4% growth projection. That's on business on the Guardian newspaper and on page 15. Federal government to appeal judgment on attack against journalists, and that's on page 4 of the Guardian newspaper. Kano killings, Tinubu orders probe as state takes over prosecution. That's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. And court strikes out Meta X as federal government rearranged Sowori on amended cyberbullying charges. That's on page 30 of the Guardian newspaper. APC closes in on Kano as state chairman hopeful of Yusuf's defection. Can read the story on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have PoliSmart invest $60 million in Nigeria's largest plastic recycling plant. And still, that's still on business on the Guardian newspaper on page 18. And Sanwo-Olu signs 2026 4.4 trillion naira budget into law, and that's on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. If you want more, you can grab yourself a copy of the Guardian newspaper and stay informed. And joining us this morning to review the front pages of our national dailies is the program's director, Daily Trust Foundation, Theophilus Abba. Good morning, Dr. Theophilus Abba. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning.
All right, let's start off with Daily Trust. We have Tinubu clears path for Governor Yusuf's defection. following, a closed-door meeting between, the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and the Governor of Kano State, Abba Kabir Yusuf, at the presidential villa. There are indications that have emerged that the governor is set to formally defect from the NNPP to the ruling All Progressive Congress, which is the APC. And we have, had this report for, I think, the past 3 weeks now. So would want to hear your view on this.
Well, actually, it's a running story. Since last year, I think late last year, we heard that the governor wants to move to the APC, and it's been something that journalists have actually, the Daily Trust reported consistently. When you talk about clearing the path for Yusuf to join APC, actually, it's because APC is quite strong in Kano. APC is very, very strong in Kano. And I remember at the 2022 election, it was really contested, seriously contested. There was a governorship candidate who contested that election, and they made a lot of impact. I think the appeal went to, I think, the Supreme Court. I was at the final point that Yusuf was declared as the winner. So if you are admitting Yusuf into APC, and you are guaranteeing him an automatic ticket, what will happen to other APC members, those who have been loyal to APC in the last 2 years or 3 years? That is the question. So you are the sitting governor, you join the party, then those who have worked for the party while you were in the other party, what's their interest? And I think what we understand the president has given to him is a thoroughfare. That, look, don't worry, we are going to prioritize your interest in running for a second time in 2027. And it's quite interesting, but while Yusuf is likely going to gain, it could lead to implosion in the party. Where some persons who have been working for the party, those who have been waiting, maybe they're mobilizing their members, for 2027, will say, well, what's in it for me? This man has moved from NNPP and joined us and is taking the prize. So that is the issue, and I think he has agreed. President may have given him, the support. Then there are other issues, whether he's actually going to become the leader of the party in Kano. You have Ganduje, who was former governor, former national chairman of the party. They have Barao, also from Kano, who is the Deputy Senate President. So you have very tall politicians from Kano, and if he's been declared as the leader of the party in Kano, a lot of interests need to be accommodated. How is he going to relate with Ganduje? How is he going to relate with Barao? Then you now talk about Kwankwaso. Is he drawing the curtain from under Kwankwaso? Because the strength of Kwankwaso is actually the fact that he's in control of the party. Being the leader of the party, NNPP, they call him the leader of the NNPP. If you are the leader of NNPP and you don't have a state, if you don't have a state, it means that you are just nowhere. Just like now, Labour Party has a state. So even if anything, Labour Party knows that we are stakeholders in this system because there's a state. But now, if Yusuf moves to APC, automatically Kwankwaso will lose, control of Kano, unless he too moves to APC. You understand? And we don't understand what's happening because it's like he's thinking of remaining in NNPP or joining ADC. So for Kwankwaso, this movement is going to, the movement of Yusuf to APC is going to affect, the political career of even Kwankwaso himself. We don't know what to play out, in the end. So it's a very, very, serious political move. So if the president has agreed that, look, we're going to admit you, we're going to give you the ticket, it will upset some of the arrangements that has been in place in Kano politics. But what we are praying for is that it shouldn't lead to any crisis, because I think there could be security implications of that kind of movement. But then I hope the president and the security agencies will be in control.
All right. Let's look at this headline. In Kaduna, residents can confirm 160 kidnapped, but police and the government deny the incident. And this supposedly happened at the Kajuru local government area in Kaduna State. So what is your take on this, where people of a community are seen as 160 people have been kidnapped, and police and the government are denying this fact.
Well, it's quite confusing because I think in the story we have anecdotes where community leaders or some person in the community say, okay, I was kidnapped, I saw them kidnapped, I know this, I know that. So it's really difficult. I don't understand why it is being denied by the police. And the story says that this happens regularly. Between 2018 and 2026, where this happened, there have been about 25 kidnap incidents in that same community. About 25 kidnap incidents. And if you, what we know, if the security operatives know that, look, this area is prone to kidnaps, there must be preventive measures. So when they now deny, maybe it's the number, I don't know, maybe it's the number, because 160 something persons, and the kidnappers, from what I read, they did not come with trucks or whatsoever. They must have marched them into the bush and things like that. So I think instead of denying, I think they ought to do more investigation, because that place has been prone to kidnapping. It has been, and we thought that for some time now, the spate of kidnapping in Kaduna had reduced because of the agreement between the government and some bandits. But I remember, was it last year or 2024, there was this celebrated peace deal between the Kano state government and the kidnappers. So for us to hear that so many persons are kidnapped, even in Kano state, is disturbing. Just like what happened in Katsina, while the Katsina is thinking of, granting amnesties to some bandits, we are hearing that bandits still went to communities to kill and kidnap people. So there is this contradiction, about this peace deal and the activities of bandits. So I don't know whether the state government is in denial. I don't know whether the police are also in denial. But when people are giving testimonies of what happened, nobody wants to be kidnapped. I wouldn't want, to be kidnapped. So I wouldn't begin to spread the falsehood that I was kidnapped or that my persons in my community were kidnapped. There's no gain in doing so. I was thinking that the state government and the police should meet with the community leaders and then see how they can, enter into, engaging the bandits and releasing those who have been kidnapped.
Right, Dr. Theophilus, I wanted to ask you on the peace deal in Katsina State, but you have been able to, touch on that. So let's move to, due to time, The Guardian. 1 year after 50% telco tariff hike leaves operators happier and consumers frustrated. What's your take on this?
Well, I thought it was a very heated argument, last year when the tariff was increased by about 50%, and the argument was anchored on, the value of the currency had gone down, the depreciation, and there was no electricity. And so these, telco companies, the ones who provide their own electricity, they provide their own security, and their facilities are destroyed. And then if we paid more, they would, they give us more data, the quality of service will improve, and of course, it's not true. Even this morning, I had called two persons. The thing had connected, I was being charged. I said, hello, he didn't hear me. We had to cut, and they called, I called 2 times before the person could hear me. And it happened not only one person, but 2 persons this morning. So I paid for the first one, I also paid for the second one. And that is not what we expected. When you talk about quality, if we are paying more, there should be quality service. And it's quite unfortunate that they are posting, I think what Guardian said was that they are happier. Is that not?
Yes,
while the consumers are groaning, they are frustrated. So if we make you happier, then there has to be a way of you compensating us by quality service. But then let me state it very clearly that it's actually the NCC that will hold responsible for this, because NCC is the regulator, is that not? So the regulator is supposed to monitor the quality of service being rendered by these telecom companies. They are supposed to monitor their services, and I think they have the facility, they have the mechanism to monitor. They see drop costs. When people complain that the data is not, having that lifespan that it's supposed to have, the costs are being dropped, the quality of calls and all this and all. You see, they have the mechanism to monitor this thing and to detect it. Then what do they do with the data they gather? There was a time, so many years ago, we learned that they fined some telecom companies, to say, okay, your service was very poor, because of that, you pay so and so fine. They compel them to even refund. You know, they compel them to refund some funds, or maybe give you maybe additional data or something like that. I remember it happened some years ago. But in spite of the poor services that we receive from telecom companies, we are not seeing this happen. We are not seeing them refunding us. We are not seeing that it's okay because there was poor delivery, so so week. We are giving you maybe 30 MB or 20 MB or whatsoever. They are not giving us anything, but they are happy. They are making more money, making more profit. So NCC should help us.
Thank you very much, Dr. Theophilus, for reviewing the front pages of the national dailies this morning.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, with that, we've come to the end of a Daybreak on Trust TV. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. so you don't miss out on engaging and interesting conversations. As always, I'm Hawa Ademikiawa. Thank you for watching.
And I am Yemena Bagudu. Follow us on all of our social media platforms and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more news. Have a great day.